Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1033, Shimotsuke Kozuboro. And if any of you out there are Zoro fans, first and foremost, you're in luck! This chapter is exclusively about him and a Zoro flashback, which we haven't had since, I want to say Alabasta? Was like the last real time Zoro thought about his home village. And there's some interesting callbacks because of that. Anyways, the art for this week's chapter is just you got Tashigi, and she's dressed as like a villain because she's got like a killer whale on her head, and these little baby penguins are all pretending to be heroes defeating her. It's very cute. Smoker's in the background just kind of letting her do her thing, and that's one of the things I like about Oda's fan request arts is they asked for Tashigi, they asked for her with the baby penguins. He didn't have to add a baby penguin getting startled by Smoker. I mean, he doesn't have to add any of the things he adds. He just does it, and I really appreciate that. So, the chapter begins with Zoro continuing his fight with King, and it's kind of one-sided. Zoro even gets a solid hit, like right in King's chest with the blade. And I don't know if it's hard to tell just because of King's suit or if King is just that durable, but I don't think King was using Haki when Zoro landed the hit. Regardless, King does say, jackpot, and explodes. Literally. An explosion so huge, mind you, that Zoro himself says if he hadn't used Haki at the last second, he'd be dead. All while this is going on, we cut back very briefly to Sanji fighting with Queen. Queen comments on Sanji having called Zoro saying, hey, that was the pirate hunter on the other end, wasn't it? Well, he's fighting King, so he's not coming to save you. King is a Lunarian, an ancient race of invincible beings. They were considered gods among men before they were wiped out. To which Sanji responds with what the whole audience is thinking, if they're that powerful, how'd they get wiped out? To which Queen responds with, go read a history book, and fires a laser at him. So, I feel like that's the short way of Queen just saying, I don't know, shut up. But it's actually a really good question. If King is this powerful, because we see during his fight with Zoro, he does that stretch thing with the slam attack. Zoro even hits him with a new version of Lion Song, Death Lion Song. So Zoro's actually going for real lethal attacks here, and it's doing nothing. All the while, King is just kind of playing with him. Like, I don't want to say King is having fun or anything, because the dude doesn't look like he even knows what fun is. But King is just not taking the fight very seriously. He's just sort of casually fighting Zoro, and until either we get a King flashback to see why the Lunarians got wiped out, or King just flat out explains it, I don't think we're going to see any progress on Zoro's fight aside from Zoro hits King and then King, who feels nothing, hits Zoro back. Unfortunately, to make matters worse than fighting an enemy that doesn't acknowledge getting hurt, Enma starts acting up again. As we saw when Zoro first got Enma, his Haki was being like sapped out of him into the sword. Well, Enma's doing it again now. And during this distraction, King damages part of Onigashima and sends Zoro like falling down in this rubble. Fortunately, he does manage to grab each of his swords and sort of has like little mini flashbacks of obtaining them all the way back in Rogue Town and then even further back to when he first got it after Kuina's death. It's nice to see that Zoro even calls the Wado Ichimonji by name, which I believe Zoro didn't even know what the sword's name was. He just knew it was Kuina's sword. So perhaps, living in Wano, or not living, but staying in Wano for as long as he did, as well as talking to a swordsmith who knew the sword's name, maybe it stuck with him a little more than just when Tashigi first said it all those years ago. But the most important memory that Zoro just looks into, I guess you could say, is the memory of the old man who lived in the village Zoro grew up in, who we learn later was Kuina's grandfather, and then we learn even later in the chapter that his name was Shimotsuke Kozaburo. He is not only the man who forged the Wado Ichimonji, which is Kuina's sword, he is also the man who forged Enma. And Zoro finally connects the dots based on what the old man said about the greatest sword he ever created, and he created it when he was younger, and then 50 years ago he, fled or just walked away from Wano, but either way, he didn't live there no more, and went to the East Blue. It all added up, and Zoro realizes that for some reason, somehow, Enma found Zoro, and as the old man told him, the swords choose their wielders, and the swords need to be bent to the will of their wielder. I'll get to that in a moment when I also bring up a fun fact that I don't know if I noticed it or if it's just a coincidence, but as Zoro is talking to this old man about real swords, he actually gives Zoro a pair to practice with, to improve with, which answers a very old question all the way back in Chapter 5. How did child Zoro get a hold of 2 real swords when he challenged Kuina? I highly doubt that her father just left those things lying around. So it's nice to know Grandpa was letting the kids play with knives at a very young age. Regardless, these are the swords. Those probably were the swords that Zoro challenged Kuina with, which is just like a nice little Easter egg. Finally, though, Zoro realizing that Enma is testing him, and that in order to wield Enma like Odin did, he is going to have to just unleash his haki in full force. Zoro unwittingly unleashes his Conqueror's haki and knocks out a few of Kaido's men who are trying to get the jump on him. King even acknowledges this and says, "So, you plan on being a king too, huh?" And Zoro, says, "No, it's more of just keeping a promise to myself and my best friend." And as he's saying that, he's thinking of Luffy with like a little flashback. So that's actually kind of cool to hear that Zoro thinks Luffy's his best friend. I mean, we all knew that the whole crew loves Luffy, but Zoro's one of those people where you know it, but he never says it. So, I don't know. It warmed the cockles of me old heart. With that, Zoro, prepares to fight King some more. Now, will he be able to wield his Conqueror's haki to the level Luffy and Kaido are currently? No. But he can wield it to a level that can fight King, who may or may not have Conqueror's haki. Let's be honest, it seems to be a theme. Roger's number 2 has Conqueror's haki. Whitebeard's, well, Marco was Whitebeard's number 2, but Ace had Conqueror's haki and he worked under Whitebeard. Katakuri has Conqueror's haki and he's Big Mom's number 2. I wouldn't be shocked if Ben Beckman had it. I wouldn't be shocked if King has it. As for Blackbeard, since we're getting onto the subject of who has Conqueror's haki and who doesn't, let me know if you agree with me on this theory that Blackbeard does not have Conqueror's haki. I think he doesn't. I think it would also be very interesting to see someone fight at that kind of level without the natural-born gift of a conqueror. But that's neither here nor there. That's not even what this chapter's about. Zoro's going to fight King. We're probably not going to see a big fight in the next chapter because Oda seems to be hopping around from fight to fight right now just to build up to the big final moments of each fight. So it's probably going to cut to maybe Jinbei or Frankie getting into something, because it's been a while since we've seen those two. But that's pretty much it. So the chapter ends on kind of a high note. I really like this hopeful approach of Zoro with a new power-up. But let me know what you think. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.